The state of Washington has always been divided by more than just the Cascade Mountains. For over a century, it has been split by a fierce college football rivalry. The University of Washington Huskies, from the sprawling urban center of Seattle, and the Washington State University Cougars from the rolling hills of Pullman, have battled for state supremacy. This annual clash, known as the Apple Cup, is more than just a game. It is a cultural event woven into the fabric of the state. It represents a clash of identities, pitting the big city against the small town, the west side against the east. The rivalry has seen 116 meetings over 125 years, a testament to its enduring power and significance. Families are divided, friendships are tested, and bragging rights are on the line every single year. This long-standing tradition began long before it was even called the Apple Cup. The first game was played in 1900, and the intensity has only grown with each passing decade. The series has been marked by memorable upsets, dominant performances, and moments that have become legendary in the state's sports history. Washington holds the all-time series lead with a commanding record of 76, 34, and 6. But statistics often mean little when these two teams take the field. The passion of the players and the roar of the crowd create an atmosphere where anything can happen. The game is a source of immense pride for both universities, a chance to prove who is truly the best in the Evergreen State, a title coveted by generations of students and alumni alike. The name Apple Cup itself was officially adopted in 1962, a nod to Washington's status as the nation's leading apple-producing state. Before that, the winner received the Governor's Trophy. The change in name only served to deepen the game's connection to the state's identity. It became a symbol of Washington itself, a prize fought for with a unique ferocity. The trophy is not just a piece of hardware, it is a representation of a year's worth of dominance, a physical reminder of victory that one team gets to hold, while the other is left to ponder what went wrong. The emotions surrounding the Apple Cup run incredibly deep, making it one of the most cherished and intense rivalries in all of college football. Today, as we stand on the precipice of the 2025 game, that history feels more important than ever. The traditions forged over a century of competition are what give this game its soul. The annual pilgrimage of fans, the biting November air, the sea of purple and gold on one side and crimson and gray on the other, these are the elements that define the experience. It has always been a constant, a reliable date on the calendar that everyone in the state could circle. But now, for the first time in a long time, the future of this storied rivalry is shrouded in doubt, making each remaining contest feel increasingly precious and freighted with historical weight. The ground beneath college football has shifted dramatically, and the Apple Cup stands directly on the fault line. The once stable world of conference affiliations has been shattered by television deals and the relentless pursuit of revenue. The Pac-12, the conference of champions that housed both Washington and Washington State for decades, has crumbled. In a move that sent shockwaves through the sport, the University of Washington departed for the lucrative Big Ten Conference, leaving its in-state rival behind. This decision, driven by finances, has fundamentally altered the landscape of the rivalry, creating a chasm between the two programs that goes far beyond the football field. Today's game is no longer a battle of conference peers, it's an out-of-conference matchup with an uncertain future. This Saturday's game in Pullman carries a strange and heavy weight. Washington, now a member of a powerhouse conference, enters the contest with a 2-0 record and is a massive 20.5-point favorite. Washington State, left to navigate a new reality alongside Oregon State, comes in at 2-1 after a humbling 59-10 loss to North Texas. The lopsided betting line reflects the new hierarchy in college sports. Despite WSU's stunning 24-19 upset victory in their first meeting as non-conference foes in 2024, the long-term trend seems clear. One program is ascending to a new level of resources and exposure, while the other is fighting to maintain its national relevance in a landscape that has become increasingly unforgiving. The conference realignment has created a significant resource and recruiting gap that will be difficult for Washington State to overcome. Being in the Big Ten provides Washington with a massive financial windfall from media rights deals, money that can be poured into facilities, coaching salaries, and player support. This financial muscle directly translates to the recruiting trail, where the Huskies can now sell prospects on playing a national schedule against traditional powers like Ohio State and Michigan. For Washington State, the sales pitch has become much harder. They are no longer competing on a level playing field for the top talent within their own state, a reality that threatens the long-term competitive balance of the Apple Cup. For the players and coaches, the game's importance remains, but the context has changed. Washington coach Jedd Fisch still frames it as a primary objective. There's 3 trophies you can get nowadays, he said. You can get the Apple Cup trophy, you can get a Big Ten championship trophy, and then you can get your postseason trophy. His words highlight that, for Washington, the Apple Cup is now one of several major goals. For Washington State, however, it feels different. Beating their well-funded Big Ten rival has become an even greater point of pride, a chance to prove that tradition and grit can still triumph over television money and conference prestige. Compounding the challenges of conference realignment is the revolutionary impact of the name, image, and likeness era. While the system was designed to allow student-athletes to be compensated for their celebrity, an unintended consequence has been the creation of a super-elite class in college sports. Schools with deep-pocketed booster collectives and major corporate support can now offer financial opportunities that programs like Washington State simply cannot match. This new reality has turned recruiting into a financial arms race, further tilting the competitive landscape in favor of the haves over the have-nots. The days of a level playing field, if they ever truly existed, are now a distant memory. For a program like Washington, located in the major media market of Seattle with a large and wealthy alumni base, the name, image, and likeness era is a significant advantage. The Huskies can leverage their new Big Ten status and corporate connections to build powerful NIL collectives that attract top-tier recruits from across the country. This financial firepower allows them to compete for the same 5-star athletes as the traditional blue bloods of the sport. The result is a roster that is deeper, more talented, and better compensated. While this benefits the athletes and strengthens the program, it creates an enormous challenge for their rivals who operate with fewer resources and in a smaller market. This growing disparity is a direct threat to the competitive nature of rivalries like the Apple Cup. Historically, upsets were possible because talent was more evenly distributed. A well-coached, disciplined team from Pullman could often match the raw talent of a team from Seattle. Now that possibility is shrinking. The resource gap created by conference realignment is magnified by the financial gap created by NIL. Washington State finds itself in a difficult position, fighting a two-front war against forces largely outside of its control. It becomes harder to convince a top in-state prospect to choose Pullman when a much larger financial package and a bigger stage await them in Seattle. The soul of college football has always been rooted in its regional rivalries, and the idea that on any given Saturday, an underdog could rise up and shock the world. The NIL era, for all its benefits to the players, has made those moments less likely. It risks turning games like the Apple Cup into predictable affairs, where the team with the bigger bank account almost always comes out on top. This erodes the very drama and passion that make the sport so compelling. The challenge for the sport as a whole, and for this rivalry in particular, is to find a way to preserve competitive balance in an era defined by professional-style player acquisition and compensation. The most pressing question hanging over this rivalry is its very existence. As of today, the Apple Cup is only guaranteed to be played for 3 more seasons after this 2025 game, through the 2028 season. Beyond that, there are no contracts and no certainties. The scheduling complexities of the new 18-team Big Ten make finding a non-conference slot for a rivalry game increasingly difficult for Washington. The Huskies will have a demanding 9-game conference schedule, leaving them with only 3 non-conference games to fill. Will they consistently use one of those valuable slots to play a team from a non-power conference, even if it is their historic rival? The answer is far from clear. The decision will likely come down to a cold calculation of priorities. For Washington, the path to a Big Ten championship and a spot in the college football playoff will be the top priority. Scheduling is a key part of that calculation. Athletic directors often prefer to schedule non-conference games that either provide a guaranteed win or boost their strength of schedule for the playoff committee. The Apple Cup, in its current state, might fall into an awkward middle ground. It is too dangerous to be considered a guaranteed win, as WSU's 2024 victory proved, but it may not provide the national prestige of playing another Power 4 opponent. This leaves the game's future dependent on goodwill and a commitment to tradition. commodities that are in short supply in modern college athletics. From Washington State's perspective, the desire to continue the game is immense. The Apple Cup is a centerpiece of their season, a marquee home game in the years it has played in Pullman, and a vital connection to their history. Losing the game would be another devastating blow to a program and a fan base that has already endured the collapse of its conference. It would sever a link to their past and remove the single most important game from their schedule. The Cougars and their supporters will undoubtedly lobby hard to keep the tradition alive, but the final decision may not rest in their hands. They are in a position of hoping their bigger, wealthier rival continues to see the value in a game that means more to Pullman than it does to Seattle. Ultimately, the fate of the Apple Cup will serve as a barometer for the soul of college football. Will tradition win out over television contracts and playoff calculations? Or will another one of the sport's great rivalries fade into the history books, a casualty of the relentless march toward a professionalized, top-heavy model? For the fans, the alumni, and anyone who believes that college football is about more than just money, the hope is that a solution can be found. The hope is that for generations to come, the state of Washington will continue to stop every November to watch the Huskies and the Cougars battle for the Apple Cup, a tradition too precious to lose.